Welcome to today's First Chesapeake Chat session. I'm Victoria Mulvihill, a First Chesapeake alumni, and I'm here to introduce the First Chesapeake Chat, sponsored by Newport News Shipbuilding. I would like to thank this session sponsor, Canon, for making this chat possible. Just some housekeeping, we'll let the speakers present and then open up for discussion questions later on if there is time. But feel free to put questions in the comments throughout the chat and we will try to answer them all. The session today is Volunteering for First, from Field Reset to Coach, presented by I Like the Legacy. And I will now pass it over to Akshita to introduce this session's speakers.
Hello, welcome to our session of Volunteering for First, from Field Reset to Coach. I am Akshita Ramesh, one of the team co-leads of FTC Team 1885, I Like the Legacy, and I'll let everyone else introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Eric Del Santo. I am a volunteer and alumni from Team 1676 up in First Mid-Atlantic, and I volunteered at about 20 to 25 competitions since I've started volunteering.
Hi, my name is Brian Shepard, and I am a coach, teacher, and sponsor of FTC Team 1885 Battlefield High School.
Hello, I'm Caitlin. I have volunteered. I'm with 4541. I volunteered at a couple events, and I've mentored a couple of FLL teams as well too.
Hi, I'm AJ. I'm also on 4541, and I coach at 11500, which is the FTC team, and I mentor an FLL team.
Hello, my name is Sean Henderson. I am a junior at Battlefield High School, and I'm part of FTC 1885.
So I joined FTC Team 1885, I Like the Legacy, and FRC Team 1885, I Like Robotics last year during my freshman year of high school. Slightly after I joined FRC Team 1885, we hosted our yearly off-season event, IROC, which I volunteered at. I had done many volunteer hours, but nothing for First specifically until then. And by far, IROC had been the most fun volunteer hours I had ever done. As the season progressed, I gained the opportunity to volunteer at many more events and engage in other types of volunteering as well, such as mentoring. Everyone's volunteering experience is different, and to learn more about mentoring, how amazing of an opportunity volunteering is, and to learn about people's experiences, we have here our panel of guests, all who either mentor, volunteer, or do both, to talk about their experiences. If you would like to ask any questions, put them in the chat at any time. Just mention the member you would like to ask along with the question. So now we'll start interviewing people. First up, we have Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hello, how we doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Can't complain, can't complain. Sitting home and just hanging out.
Yep. So first off, what team are you from, and what volunteering or mentoring roles have you done?
Sure. So I started with FRC Team 1676, the Pascack Pioneers, up in Northeast Jersey, as northeast of Jersey as you can get. That was my time from 2008 to 2011. And ever since then, for the past 8 or 9 years, I've been volunteering. I started out doing queuing for a couple of years, and then I've kind of established as a game announcer for multiple, different competitions, mostly in First Mid-Atlantic.
So what is your favorite thing about game announcing?
My favorite thing about game announcing is just being able to share all these experiences with all of the students that I get to meet, and just share it with all of the other volunteers that, are a part of this. One thing I love about game announcing, and part of what I enjoyed as a student on my team at the time, was just the energy and just the enjoyment, the fulfilling experience about a competition. And as a game announcer, it's kind of like a feedback loop, is that you hear the excitement from the crowd, and that kind of filters into you, so you can provide even better commentary for these competitions. So you help make people's experiences better. You help make everyone's just enjoyment, the competition, the camaraderie, just make it better and amplify it for everyone participating.
And lastly, where is the farthest that you've traveled while game announcing?
So the farthest I've ever traveled was actually for an off-season event in West Virginia. It was about a 7-hour drive through Pennsylvania and out into West Virginia. It's hosted by FRC 2614 Mars. They have a 24-hour long event, and we road tripped with a bunch of fellow alumni and other volunteers, and it's been phenomenal. It's really cool to just see what all these teams can do. The exciting things that kind of change up a little bit how the competition runs, how the matches run. So, for example, during Power Up, they had some weighted cubes, and they had some like lit up cubes. They just put LEDs inside of the power cubes, and it's a lot of fun. It's really a fun twist.
That sounds great. When did you actually start game announcing? Like maybe like what age or so?
I started game announcing. Which competition was it? Stronghold. Stronghold was my first competition I started announcing, and then I get to meet a lot of other people in the game announcing community. We kind of share pieces of feedback, things that worked for us in the past, and we kind of just talk to just kind of get better as the years go on, because part of our job is to just make sure the competition is presented in a spectacular way for the students, the mentors, the volunteers, etc. So that's about when I started, and now I've just been continuing to do it.
That's honestly awesome. Game announcing sounds really fun, and it's great to see that you enjoy it a lot. Now we'll move on to Mr. Shepard. Hi, Mr. Shepard.
Hi, AK. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Good. It's funny to say that I haven't seen you in a while, but I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah. So I already know this, but let's just restate this. So what team are you from, and what volunteering or mentoring roles have you done?
Sure. Right now, I am currently sponsoring and supporting iLight Team 1885 FTC at Battlefield High School. So I guess I got started around 2010. I was a math teacher, and the physics teacher was the one sponsoring an FRC team. So I first got started helping out just as a volunteer with FRC Team 1895, which is Lambda Corps, only about 20 minutes from where we are currently. And I was there for about 3 years. After the first year of just kind of helping out, I turned into the full-time mentor lead of the team for about 2 years after that. And after 1895, I actually switched, my teaching career switched and brought me to Battlefield High School. And so I started getting involved with Team 1885, and that was specifically just with FRC and the efforts that they had. And very soon after that, I saw that the school had an FTC program, and I really enjoyed working with the students at that level. And so I got involved teaching classes, doing FTC, and then also helping with the after-school FTC program. So all in all, for about 10 years now, I've been mentoring and helping out with the FRC and FTC programs.
That's honestly awesome. I actually did not know that you used to mentor Lambda Corps.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your most memorable moment from coaching or mentoring?
Well, I think probably for me, it was a couple of years ago, about 4 years ago, I had an FTC team that was fortunate enough to be competing at the FTC state championships here in Virginia. And one of my teams had actually made it to the elimination matches, and they were playing in the semifinal round. And they had lost the first match, and they were playing the second match, and they barely lost the second match as well. So they were obviously very disappointed that they had lost. But one of the students was extremely smart, and he had been keeping track of the score the whole time in his head. And so, they stopped the game, and they were getting ready to set up for the finals matches of our division. And my student just persisted in talking with one of the judges and referees and saying that they had scored it wrong. He sat down for about 5 minutes next to one of the referees and went through play by play, everything that happened, adding up all the points. And he actually convinced them to overturn the score. So they overturned the score, and they had to pull all the other robots off of the field that were getting ready to start finals. And they went back and they played a third match in the semifinal round. So to me, it was just exciting to see the passion and involvement. And I know we're not really supposed to argue with the referees, but a couple of years ago, they were okay with it a little bit. So that was really exciting to me to see the students involved and just, giving it their all and, pushing for themselves. So.
That's awesome. That's extremely inspiring. And if you could mentor any other FIRST program that you haven't already, then which program would it be?
Well, right now I have a son who's in 5th grade, and he's been involved with FLL at his school. And I've just really enjoyed watching the FLL program and seeing the kids. And there's just such a different level of excitement on their faces. It's just pure enjoyment. And a lot of it is just something that I haven't experienced at the higher level. So if I had to do some more mentorship and helping out, it would probably be with FLL.
Definitely. I could also say from mentoring FLL, because I have mentored 2 different teams, it's definitely amazing. The kids are always just so hyper and energetic, and they're ready to do everything. And oh my God, their energy is just great.
I agree.
Next off, we're going to talk to Sean. Hi, Sean.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good as well.
So first off, where are you in your education? What team are you from? And what volunteering and mentoring roles have you done?
So I'm currently in 11th grade at Battlefield High School. I'm in FTC, FCC 1885, and I am a FLO mentor, and I volunteer as a FLO judge and referee, and I also volunteer for other robotics platforms as well.
If you can do any volunteer role in FIRST that you haven't done so far, what role would it be?
So I've been getting interested in doing FTA recently.
That's extremely cool. And what's your favorite part of any volunteer role that you've done?
So I actually, when I volunteer, I actually like, it's kind of confusing, but I like showing the students and the competitors what they could, like, what recommendations for what they could do, say in their notebook and whatnot. Because sometimes I've had like students come by and they're like, "Hey, what should I do? Or what do you think was nice about my notebook? And what should I improve?" And I always like going and I like pointing out the things that they did really well on, and then other things that they should focus on next time for like other competitions or if they're doing league meets.
That's definitely amazing. I can also say, like, helping kids, it's definitely one of the things that's absolutely amazing about mentoring and volunteering. Oh, and why FTA?
So I've been doing a lot of reffing and judging. I just wanted to try something else. I usually am more on the on the hands-on, well, like on the action side. FTA is usually more in the background unless they're needed. And I also want to get more into different fields, because right now I'm more focused on electronics and programming. And with FTA, you have to know many different fields depending on what's going on different robots.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to Caitlin. Hello, Caitlin.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good myself. How about you?
Can't complain. Great.
So, where are you in your education? What team are you from? And what volunteer or mentoring roles have you done?
All right. So as of now, I'm in grade 12. I'm a graduating senior. I'm from T4541 Cavaliers, and some volunteering and mentoring roles I've done is I've mentored FLL a little bit. I've done team queuing, field reset, and I've done a little bit of safety glasses attendant just to spice things up.
So, what got you interested in volunteering?
I think it was mainly, most of my friend group is robotics. And I have a lot of different friends from other teams, and you can only really see them at competitions. So I guess it was the social aspect, and I love being able to talk to new people. So I guess it was also that, like, being able to just connect with new people, and I wanted to try new things too.
All definitely amazing. And what has been your favorite volunteering opportunity so far?
I think my favorite has actually been Bethesda 2019. I did team queuing for the first time. I did it with a friend of mine on 5587. Oh my goodness, it was my favorite thing. I think it was the highlight of my year. I mean, I lost my season, but like I got to meet so many new people. I'm not normally on the field. I'm safety captain. So I got to experience what it's like to be on the field and to like make sure everybody knows where they're supposed to be. And it's just really like being in the action. I guess I like that. And then a lot of my friends are on drive teams, so I wouldn't be able to like see them normally, but I get to talk to them and I get to just help everybody out. Oh, really? Eric just said that he was announcing at Bethesda. I guess I didn't realize that. I was a little bit stressed out. It was my first time doing queuing, but yeah.
And having been at Bethesda, Caitlin, I could tell you did great. So did you, Eric. Thank you so much. And now we'll go to AJ. Hi, AJ.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, as everyone's probably figured out. How are you?
Always working on robots.
So first off, where are you in your education? What team are you from? And what volunteering or mentoring roles have you done?
So I'm a junior at Archbishop Spalding, also on 4541. And some volunteering things I've done. And so I've coached, this is the first year that I've coached FTC, but I did FLL last year and this year. So I'm planning to do it, in the future as well, assuming that next season goes according to plan. And then I've also was the head referee or judge really for our scrimmage that we had in the fall for FLL. And I was a queuer for the state FLL championship.
So what has been an interesting moment that has occurred while you've been mentoring?
So an interesting moment that, actually, when I was at the first FTC competition this year, I got to see a lot of the similar aspects that we have in FRC, but it's just pretty much miniaturized in FTC. So it was really interesting seeing all the similar components that they have, even though they're just really compact as compared to FRC, where they're the human size almost.
Yeah, and honestly, like the experiences are so same yet so different. I can also say from being on FTC and FRC, both experiences have been extremely great, but they have been quite different and same at the same time. And I can also say that my FTC experience has helped me out with FRC, and same thing the other way around. And also, what is the difference between mentoring FLL and FTC?
So really the big difference between mentoring FLL and FTC is that with FLL, it's just their robot on the table and they're not allowed to control it type thing. So they just have to keep running their code, keep testing it. But with FTC, is really like talking through the code saying, okay, in auto, you're going to have to deal with an alliance mate. So how is your code going to move around them or make sure you don't hit them? Because then that could throw the match both two different ways. So it's really about planning ahead for both. And it's just different as to how they go about it pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I've got a question for all the people that have done queuing so far in here. What made you enjoy the queuing process?
I can take that one. So early on in my time, part of what I did was queuing, and one of the things that I really enjoyed about queuing is kind of understanding how competitions work from the flip side. So as a student, you always kind of understand how a competition runs as a student, but as a queuer, you're directly involved in the process about how a competition runs from the back end of the side. And one of the most fun parts that I've had was just talking to the students, just saying, hey, how are you doing? How's your day going? And you get to talk to every single like member of the drive team. You just say, hey, hope you guys are doing well. Talk to me about your robot, and you just get them a little excited to compete in their next match. So it's definitely one interesting part and really a fun part of queuing as well.
To add on to that, it's definitely talking to the students. And I had someone after I was done like queuing at Bethesda, like he was on drive team. He told me that like I apparently calmed him down before matches, which I thought was like really cool to see that I like my talking to them had like an effect on them, and I like again like really being in the action.
And I have also actually been I've queued before at off-season events, and I can say it's really fun. Getting to be on my feet was one of the things that I just really liked, and it was a lot of exercise, but I also got to meet a lot of new people. And I have a question now for Mr. Shepard. How does teaching students in the classroom differ from from teaching outside of the classroom for the after-school team?
Sure. So right now, this school year, I have one class that I teach with 24 students in it. And I've kind of split that up so that there's actually 4 different teams within the class, each having 6 students on it. So the classroom experience is a little bit different in the sense that we are going a lot slower. Most of the students in the class have very little robotics experience, so we are having to go through a lot more detail in terms of just very basic stuff with battery and powers and motors and motion and even assembly. And so it does go a little bit slower, but there's a whole lot more hands-on for each one of the students. It also kind of forces the students to kind of, help themselves out, across the team, because, you have to have somebody that needs to know how to program, and usually, a couple of kids will take that. And so they're responsible for a whole lot more aspects of the robot. The after-school team is a little bit more polished. It's a little bit larger. Most of those students do have experience. And so they're kind of free to just kind of run with their ideas and, their experience and putting it all together. Having sub teams is always great, but there's extra support. So the after school teams definitely get a little bit more involved with some of the outreach and some of the other opportunities that robotics, in FIRST has to offer. And so, that's probably the biggest thing is the outreach, and then the ability for them to kind of do independent work more so than in the classroom.
That's great. And now we also have a question for Eric. What are some of the things that you've learned about yourself or just in general over your time as an announcer?
So one thing that I think I've learned about myself and just in general about game announcing is just the benefit of kind of having a mentor and someone kind of as a teacher to help guide you through just principles as a whole, over the course. So, when I started out as a game announcer, my commentary was okay, but there's definitely like places that I can improve on. The person that was teaching me at the time, he's a championship announcer. He had told me, he guided me, all right, here are things that I think you can improve on. He worded them specifically that I should be able to see things that, okay, this is something that, makes sense for me as someone, as an outsider. If I listened in, this is something that I think could be more beneficial. And it's kind of like with any program, it's just kind of passing the torch, as I've developed over the years, I've gotten more experience and I've been able to kind of fine tune, my commentary and my announcing. But the best part is to be able to take new talent and other people that are interested in game announcing and kind of share that feedback with them so they can continue to announce at their competitions and just provide just better competitions. And that way, when they get more experience and they find people, they can now pass that knowledge on to them. And it's an overflowing and cascading effect.
That sounds awesome. I actually got the opportunity to game announce at during the semifinal or during the playoffs during an off-season event here in Chesapeake, Bunny Bots, hosted by Team 449. And honestly, I was definitely very confused in the beginning, but by the help of other people who have game announced, I definitely gained a little bit more confidence there. And I found it so much fun. And I honestly, I hope to game announce again.
Absolutely. I'm sure we would love to add you to the group. I mean, the game announcing crew is just, we all, we're all in it together. We're all here to share our experiences and share kind of what works. And then that way we can pass it on to everyone else. So if you want to game announce, talk to some of your local volunteer coordinators at off-season events. That's the best place to learn.
Mm-hmm. And another general question for everyone. What has been your favorite game or program to help out with? Or as a volunteer, a mentor, or anything like that?
I think, again, I only joined in 2019, so I joined as a junior, but my favorite game has honestly been Infinite Recharge, if that's what the question was. I really liked, I don't know, I just like the game. Yeah.
I could say my favorite game was probably Infinite Recharge. You know, I got a chance to volunteer at one of the competitions, but it's such an exciting event. It's such an exciting game, and it's visually appealing to a lot of students. But I'll say my favorite moment as a volunteer was actually judging a FLL competition. I was one of the robot judges, and I asked the question. I asked the students, tell me about your robot, and I had an FLL student tell me what a PID controller was. It was phenomenal because that's something that I had learned in like my senior year of college, and I had an FLL student tell me in detail what that was, and I was just blown away. It was amazing. It really kind of gave me inspiration.
Okay, and honestly, I'll also give a little bit of input here. I only really started volunteering last year, so mine would be Deep Space. Um, and I've got one last little thing to close off the session with. I'd like to close off the session with a thank you to all the volunteers, to the coaches, to the event volunteers, and to the First Chesapeake staff for letting these chats happen. Throughout our seasons, no matter what level of first you're in, our coaches and mentors spend their precious time making sure or guiding us, giving us their knowledge, and allowing us to have our amazing experiences in first. The volunteers at all of our events are the people who help us actually have the competitions we all absolutely love to compete at. And without any volunteering roles, a competition would just not be the same. The First Chesapeake staff as well. Without them, we wouldn't have our district the way it is. And many of the staff members are also extremely involved with teams themselves. They put a lot of time and effort into making First Chesapeake as amazing as it is. Do not forget to take a moment to thank your coaches, mentors, and any volunteers that you know for their time and dedication to the program.
Thank you, AK.
So I just want to pop in here real quick and say thank you to all of you, Brian, AJ, Eric, Caitlin, Sean, and Akshita. You guys have done a great job today, and you've shared some really cool stories, some cool input, and I want to volunteer more. So just thank you so much for being here. And I'd also like to take a moment to thank this session's sponsor, Canon, and have a great rest of your day.